Hi, I'm Richard Maraj, Senior Minister at Unity of Phoenix Spiritual Center, and I want to thank you for visiting our website and for tuning in to today's message. If you feel inspired by today's talk, I really encourage you to make a donation by hitting that button below and making a contribution to this ministry. It'll allow us to continue these messages online and to do the great work we do here at Unity of Phoenix, which is to inspire people to live better lives. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for your support, and we hope to see you at a Sunday real soon.
Morning again, everybody. And a shout out to everybody who tunes in and watches us online. In the beginning, God created woman and named her Eve. And one day Eve was walking in the garden with God and said, "Lord, the garden is wonderful. It's so beautiful. The animals and birds provide me such joy, but I'm still a bit lonely at times." And God said, "No problem. I will make a man for you for a companion. And he will desire to please you and be with you. But I have to warn you, he will not be perfect. He will have a difficult time listening to you and understanding your feelings. He will often only think about himself. And sometimes he will stay out late with his bowling buddies." And Eve said, "What's bowling?" And God said, "Oh, never mind. I was getting ahead of myself. Sorry." And Eve said, "Oh, that's okay. I think I can handle this man." And God said, "Great, I'll get to it." And he grabbed some mud and started shaping it. And then suddenly God stopped and said to Eve, "Oh, there's one other thing about this man you need to do that I'm making for you." And Eve said, "What's that?" And God said, "You'll have to let him believe that he was here first." So, So how many people here are excited about a new year, having a new year? All right. How many people are excited about ending this year and having it be gone? Okay. This time of year, we are always excited for the current year to end and the new year to begin because the new year represents new possibilities, a new chance for success or happiness or greater love. And the new year means that we are replacing the old, that we are saying goodbye to the things in this year that we didn't like, to the things we didn't want, the things that didn't feel good, the things we weren't happy about. And it's interesting that this very same year, in January, that we were all excited about to start, 11 months later, we're only thinking, "Oh, God, let's just get this over with. I want this done." And I find that's interesting because there's a bit of a pattern that we have in that we start out excited, and 11 months later, we're ready to be done with it. Resolutions, we start out fast, and then quickly, as studies show, we tend to fizzle. No wonder that people say that resolutions are things that go in one year and out the other. Okay. Sorry, I had that one left over from last year. I thought I'd use it. So what I really want to look at is, what do we do in the space between Christmas and New Year's? What do we do from the ending of this year to the beginning of the new year? See, there are different ways that we handle it, and sometimes I think we are just so excited for it to be gone, or we're so excited for the new year to come, that I don't think we use that space in between as effectively as a springboard to have a better new year. I think the best way for us to spend that time between Christmas and New Year's is to really continue the spiritual process that actually began on Christmas with us lighting that candle. The Christmas lighting of that candle represented the awakening to that light, to that Christ light in each of us. Awakening to that Spirit of God that is in us, that is being called to shine and be expressed more fully. That light in us that we sometimes let go dim, that Christmas is about reigniting it and making a commitment to let it shine brighter. 2018 is almost complete. There are about 36 more hours left in this year. And the question is, how are you going to live these next 34 hours? What intention do you have for the next 36 hours? What are the goals that you have for the next 36 hours? What is your belief about the value of these next 36 hours? Because I believe how we live these next 36 hours will determine the platform for how successful and joyful a 2019 that we have. In these next 36 hours, I implore us not to let the year just fizzle and end, but I think we need to finish strong. because us finishing strong this year is the best platform and springboard to having a great next year. Gary Ryan Blair says, many people will start fast, but very few people finish strong. To finish strong means to be committed to doing the work, even if it's hard, to commit to do the work you know is important, even if it isn't producing the results in this moment as good as you'd like. Finishing strong is about having a positive and optimistic attitude, and a persistent spirit that will continue to work till we complete and follow through and finish the work we know that is ours to do. Using these 36 hours to finish strong is the best way we can guarantee of having a great new year. The fact is, it's easy to start. It's hard to finish. It's easy to be an enthusiastic starter. The question is, how much of a committed finisher are we? This spiritual process of the holiday time began with the first step of awakening with Christmas. But the question is, how do we end the year and begin the year well? What is the spiritual work we need to do to guarantee that we have a greater and better new year? And here are the 3 spiritual steps and practices we need to do. The first one is to take time to really appreciate how amazing and wonderful our lives are, how blessed we are, how much good and abundance, how much love is in our lives. We need to celebrate the successes, celebrate the growth, the healing, celebrate all the things that have happened and is happening in our lives. And sometimes we don't do that. So there's so much stuff we take for granted in our lives, especially at this time, because we're so focused on letting go of what didn't work and we didn't like and projecting to other things that are going to bring us happiness then, that we sometimes miss how grateful and how good and wonderful our lives are right here and now. Gratitude opens our minds to realize that we have an abundant and prosperous and wonderful life. We have people who love and care and support for us. That we often, when we look towards the future, we're always thinking that's going to be better. And the fact is, better's already here. And we need to celebrate it and acknowledge it. Gratitude does a few things. It acknowledges the good and creates a positive, uplifting energy, but it also brings us to the now. The best way to have a great future is to celebrate how good now is. Because when you enjoy this moment and this moment is full, guess what? You attract more fullness and continue that fullness of life. So what are you thankful for this year? What are you thankful for right now? Who are the people that brought out the best in you and supported you and knew you and knew that they had your back? What are the lessons that you've learned? What ways have you changed for the better? What things did you heal and transform into something great? Being thankful, being grateful creates a fullness to our lives. And we get less dependent on keep looking to another place for when it's going to be happy one day. I'll tell you, I have had a fabulous, I'm not a Christmas guy. It's not a good thing to a minister to admit, but I'm not really that big into Christmas. But I'll tell you, I had one of the best Christmases ever. It was such a fabulous Christmas. On Christmas morning, I went out to breakfast with some friends. I never went out for Christmas breakfast. We had a riot and laughed. It was such a great and wonderful celebration. You remember that ugly sweater contest? I had never worn, I never even owned any Christmas sweater, let alone a really ugly one. And I love that whole experience. It was so joyful. It was so playful. Our staff Christmas party was amazing and a joyful celebration of, I'm so thrilled and honored to live in Phoenix and to do this job and to do it with some extraordinary people. I thought our candlelighting services were amazing. I mean, this has been an amazing Christmas for me. And so for all of us, some other fabulous things I was grateful for this year. This year I've traveled more than I ever traveled in 12 months in my whole life. Saw my family in multiple countries. My favorite thing in the world is to be in a beautiful place, eating great food with people I love. And I did that all over the place, and it was a thrill. Another thing that was fabulous, and I know this sounds simple, but I found a workout partner I've been dreaming about. I found somebody who lives really close to the same gym I work out, and we meet there 3 times a week. And it is so cool, because 80% of the time I would not get to that gym unless I knew somebody was going to meet me. And just even chatting with someone and getting to know someone while you work out, it is such a cool blessing. There are also some challenges, some things that stretched me. Some things that really caused me to go deeper and do some healing, some things that look at myself to say, I need to show up in a greater and a better way. And those things are things that we need to be grateful for. So what are the things that you are thankful for? What are the things that you appreciate about your life, about yourself, about the wonderful things that have happened, that are happening in your life. It's an important thing. You know, in Thessalonians, it says, in all things give thanks, for this is God's will for you. See, it's God's will that we recognize how blessed we are, that we recognize and appreciate all the good, the big things, the little things, the in-between things, because there is so much. And the reason that gratitude is not just, it is a spiritual practice, because the more we're thankful and recognize the good, guess what? The more we have a consciousness of abundance. The more we recognize the good in our lives, the more we believe is possible. The more that we're grateful, the more we have an abundance consciousness, means that more that we have a God consciousness, that we are connected to the source that provides us for all that we need. So the best foundation to have a great new year is to realize how blessed we are right now, how great and wonderful this year has been for us. The second wonderful thing to have a great new year is to make sure that we do release and let go of the things that did cause us some struggle and pain and energies that we were holding on to. You know, I think letting go and releasing is one of the hardest and the most liberating and wonderful of all spiritual practices. Michael Beckwith says 100% of spiritual growth is about letting go. And why is letting go so valuable and important? Because human beings have a tendency of holding on to stuff, and generally holding on to stuff that isn't always good for us. We tend to hold on to pain and regrets and hurts, something that someone said or something that someone did or didn't do. We tend to hold on to all this negative energy, and we keep it trapped and blocked inside of us. You know, all the things that we complain about, all the things that we regret, you know, all the things we wish that didn't happen. You know, we tend to stay focused on all the things we don't like, don't have, and aren't working. And it tends to fill up our mind and blocks us. The energy blocks the flow of peace and happiness in us. You know, and releasing comes in all forms. There is forgiving. You know, we have to look at our lives and say, who am I holding a grudge against? You know, who am I bitter towards or blame or feel resentful about? But it's also with ourselves, forgiving ourselves and letting go of guilt or regret or shame. To let go of the things that we hold and beat ourselves up about or feel that we are inadequate in some way. And there's some things we just need to let go. Maybe to let go of a job. Maybe to let go of some old dream we've been hanging on for years. Maybe to let go of a relationship that isn't healthy for us. You know, releasing also includes about acceptance and making peace with a situation. Maybe it's closure. You know, maybe it's finishing a project that's been kind of dangling and hanging there. Maybe it's for things that we haven't said that we need to say. And we're holding on that energy and anxiety of being afraid to say it. Maybe it's some unfinished business. They're all forms of release, but every one of them, I guarantee you, is about releasing energy that we're holding on that's blocking our sense of joy and our peace and literally stopping us from moving forward freely or more joyously. You know, and that energy gets stuck in us. And sometimes a simple prayer of saying, God, create a clean heart in me. Help me release and let this go. Help me wash this away and have a more open heart and an open mind. You know, sometimes we keep holding on to things, keep telling that same story over and over again. In some level, thinking if I keep saying long enough how much I got done wrong by, someday it'll make me happy. Sometimes we keep telling a story for 2 years and 3 years and 5 years. You know what that's called? It's called a self-inflicted wound. Because it may have happened once, whatever someone said or did, but everything that's repeated after that is us just inflicting ourselves by regurgitating and reliving the same pain and hurt and disappointment. Letting go isn't easy, but you know the bottom line of letting go is about? Trust. Do you trust God enough that you can let go, and knowing that when you let go, there's going to be something better when you let go? And when you let go, that better begins with just peace of mind. Just feeling safe and knowing that God is loving you, God is protecting you. And as we're able to let go, we also open our heart for ideas and inspiration and creativity. Letting go isn't an easy thing, but it is one of the most powerful and liberating things. So what do you need to let go that you're holding on to? Who is it that you need to forgive? You know, what is it that you need to release? You know, what is it that you've been holding that it's time for you to move on from and just release it. So the first thing we need to do is to appreciate how wonderful our lives are. The second one is to release whatever things we're holding on to. And then the third one is to embody. You know, I've used this quote several times because it's a friend of mine from Richmond Hill, Ontario, named Bob Kaler. And it's one of my favorite quotes. And he says, "On the day you were born, you were given the opportunity of a lifetime." So what are you doing with your opportunity of a lifetime? How many people would agree that you have not been living and you know you could live your life more fully than you're living it now? Anybody? How many still know there's more creativity and passion and ideas and success and joy still available for you to experience? You know, one thing about Bob is what he said. His follow-up, another quote he said is, "Life can only get better when you get better." See, life doesn't just get better because the year's gone, and life doesn't just get better because the new year's come. The thing that makes life better is us. We have to get better. We have to change. Our consciousness needs to transform, and it is about us. You know, when we look at our lives and see that things aren't satisfying in different areas, at work, at home, you know, what's the common denominator? It's us. And so that if we can transform us, guess what? We change us, we change our lives. You know, there's a book somebody wrote once, and it's called "Wherever You Are, Wherever You Go, There You Are." Because we take ourselves everywhere. And so that when we change us, we begin to change the things we attract and the things that we create. I use the word embody. We need to embody that which we want to become, what we want to create, what qualities we want to have and express. And to embody means to give life, to give it form, to give it expression, whether it's a quality, a feeling, or an idea. See, we can have anything we want, but we need to become it in consciousness. It needs to be how we think, how we feel, how we express, how we show up. It needs to embody that quality or feeling that we want to create and experience in our lives. How many people have ever heard of Pascal Siakam? That's okay, nobody at the first service did either. Pascal Siakam is a 6'9", 24-year-old Cameroonian professional basketball player who plays for the great Toronto Raptors. The thing about him, he is now the leading person for the most improved player in the NBA. And the thing about him, he is not one of the best players in the NBA. He's not even one of the best players on his own team. But Pascal Siakam is committed to improving. He said, "I am obsessed with development. I am all about improvement." And you know what's amazing? He didn't start playing basketball till he was 17. And people say, "Hey, isn't that a disadvantage because you're just trying to catch up?" He said, "No, I see it as an advantage because that makes me more driven to work even harder." Pascal Siakam has now tripled his scoring that he had in his first year. He is literally one of the most exciting, dynamic players that there is. Here's what an article said about him. It says, "Siakam plays like his life is on the line and yet appears to be unfazed by the mistakes and misses. His work ethic is revered, his hustle is infectious, and his bandwagon is overflowing." Because people realize that although he's not the best player, there is something amazing about watching the joy with which he exudes and the effort when he plays this game. He had 3 older brothers that played basketball in college and didn't make it to the NBA. The very night of his very first game, where he played at New Mexico State, he found out his father was killed in Cameroon in a car accident. His father's greatest dream was for one of his sons to play in the NBA. Siakam, in all of his Instagrams, has a hashtag that says, "Doing it for him," in honor of his father. One of the things, besides just being driven and being driven for his father, he said one of the things he didn't like is that African basketball players have a stigma that they're just tall and run up and down the court, you know, and either shoot or block. And he said, "I wanted to change that." He said, "I wanted to show people that I was more. I didn't just want to be labeled as something. I wanted to create my own label." Pascal Siakam puts the ball through his legs. He drives. He hits 3-pointers. He is one of the most creative and athletic players you'll ever see. And the thing is, I just love that he wanted to create who he was, that everything he wanted to be, he has embodied. Here's what his own coach says about him. Pascal is the embodiment of everything I want the Raptors to be. Hardworking, unselfish, adaptable, aggressive, and he does it all with a smile. Now, the point I'm making of using this guy is no one's ever heard of him. He ain't the best basketball player, not even on his own team. But you know what? He embodies everything he wants to be. That we don't have to be famous, we don't have to be the best, but embodying who you want to be catches people's attention. That's why he's the #1 ranked improved player, because people are noticing him. And while he may not be LeBron James, while he may not be one of the great players, they are noticing how amazing he is. And the point is, who do you want to be? What labels do you not want to just get because of however you are? What do you want to create about yourself? What are the qualities you want to stand for? What are the things do you want people to say about how you live, how you show up, how you work, what you create, what kind of attitude you have? Because when you are willing to embody it, to become it, and to step into it, it will change your life, and people will notice. People will notice, and it will make a great and amazing difference. This year is about to end, and I believe how we finish it is an important thing. Let's not let it fizzle or just wait for a new year to start. Let's finish strong. Let's continue to do our spiritual work. Let's tend to appreciate and see how, and celebrate how great our life is right now. Let's release and let go of whatever energies that are painful that it's time for us to forgive, release, or let go. And let's step in to the full embodiment of the person we want to be and the person we came here to be. 2019 can be amazing, and it's all going to depend on how you live the next 36 to go. God bless you.